Can I draw my original characters Sano and Opal from Apple Black in the Attack on Titan Shingeki no Kyojin art style using all the relevant references well enough to fool a hardcore fan? Let's give it a go. As usual, we start with a sketch, and I'm trying to get that dynamic pose where you have the characters pretty much like Spider-Man with blades trying to slash down giant zombies. Or at least giant flesh humanoid mecha. Depends on how you view Attack on Titan. Kept experimenting until I got the pose I wanted. Obviously gonna have Sano and Opal doing something flashy. With this Sano, I tried to do something different from all the other Sanos visiting all the different worlds. With this one, maybe he's kind of like a Titan like Eren, but it's just his arm that's a Titan, and that transforms into the Titan. So when it is a Titan, he's without an arm? Maybe. Kind of, I don't know, but it looked cool. So he has just one arm in this. And maybe the Titan is obviously very influenced by the Erotus form, so Erotus Sano. And I'm drawing influence from Colossal Titan, Armored Titan, but then also doing my own thing. And then maybe the Eren Titan, whatever that's called. For Opal's face, I'm drawing influence from all the other female characters in Shingeki no Kyojin. Letting her hair flow free, keeping things dynamic. I definitely knew I wanted a dynamic pose, especially to encapsulate that really cool animation, swinging through the buildings or the trees, the forest or whatever, and the survey corps springing into action. I used the initial sketch to just get the original vibe, and then now we're going in with a little bit more detail. And then drawing Sano in this world was somewhat easy because I just used Eren as reference, and a lot of people have drawn so many comparisons between Eren and Sano. I have a different video that breaks that down completely, but this was definitely fun to put together. Have the references on the side within Clip Studio Paint where you can have the canvases side by side. And then I found a lot of character design sheets, reference sheets, probably from the show exactly, from the studio, because they got a lot of gadgets going on, and it's hard to keep track. It's hard to kind of freestyle that. You really need to look at it if you want to nail it, which is the purpose of this video. I just know as a creator myself, I would not enjoy trying to draw this over and over again. So imagine how animators feel. I don't know. That will get frustrating after a while. Unless it's 3D, but even then, that's still a lot. But at the same time, I appreciate it. Probably trying to be realistic with what's going on. The character design sheets definitely came in handy for that uniform, but at the same time, even with their uniform, there's certain aspects of their uniform that are unique to each character, so there was room for me to play around a little bit with Sano and Opal, even though the way they're positioned, the parts that you would play around with are covered up, so I don't even really have to worry about it too much. But the fact that Sano here has just one hand and with the other sleeve folded up, you can kind of already see me, you know, experimenting. A little bit of a nod to Levi here and the way he's holding his blade, but it was also an opportunity to take a closer look at the blade itself. I decided to jump in directly with the sky and the background very early on because I just wanted to get it out the way. Use reference definitely, and again I'm using just the default tools in Clip Studio Paint. No customized brushes here. Just doing the best I can. Trying to knock this out. We have the clouds on a separate layer, the gradient behind on a separate layer. I'm just trying to knock out this cloud. There is a lot to understand with lighting, so whoever handles this, like the backgrounds for the anime, obviously is a separate team. They are talented as hell, as you would imagine, especially when the shows cost millions of dollars per episode, or at least heavy hundreds of thousands of dollars. After a while, just keep rendering, knowing when to use the hues of oranges, greens, yellows, whites. Try to make it look as realistic, but also as on point with the show as possible. I know there's parts that's gonna be lit up. I have the loose sketch above this layer just so I know where things go. Because even though I want that sun to shine through, it's gonna be done in a way where the characters are gonna block it a little bit, and we just keep rendering until we get what we want. This is obviously another avenue for me to just practice my own painting and drawing overall. So while this is a fun video, it's somewhat of a nice rep for me, nice observational tutorial for me and you guys, and you know, hopefully some of the good talent rubs off. When it comes to the line art, this part's a little tricky, especially for season 1 of the anime, which is my favorite. There are parts of the line art that are thicker than others. A lot of times with anime lines, they're kind of uniform and thin throughout, but with Attack on Titan, there are parts that are thick, similar to Demon Slayer a little bit, but not exactly the same. A couple things to watch out for the facial features and the art style, the way the mouth kind of yells, the little lines on the side, how the teeth comes together. Even for eyebrows like this, since Sano also has thick eyebrows, thicker than Eren, but close. If you look closely, Eren's eyebrows have extra lines to them, so I made sure to replicate that here. Paying close attention to the details on the blades and your weapons overall. It is a lot. This actually took the most amount of time I've spent doing this series. From the blades to the crests / emblems on the jacket, all the belts and ropes and shoe, everything. It took a while. You can see the amount of detail that goes into the reference sheets, and I imagine these sheets are used by everybody on the team, the character design team, the animators. They get to look at it and use it as reference while they're knocking things out. So this was not a piece of cake. Going back to the Titan, there's a theme with the teeth and the way they draw teeth, so I tried to replicate that here. I think it worked out. Have parts of it be kind of colossal Titan-esque, and then other parts be armored Titan. And I'm also looking at the screenshots there because they kind of give off a vibe of how this would kind of look with the lighting that I'm using. So it's actually perfect. With the emblem, I wanted the exact one, so I'm going to kind of manipulate it, get it, grab it, bend it, use the mesh transform in Clip Studio Paint to get it to where I need it to be, and I'll do it for everything. And in the rooms where it's not bending the way I want, I'll kind of freestyle it and draw it myself, maybe even use layers above it and give that a stroke or an outline to fit what I'm trying to do, because parts of it are going to be blocked as well. You're not going to see the whole emblem. This one was actually quite tricky. I could draw the whole thing from scratch, but that will be less accurate and it will take forever. Maybe I should have picked an easier emblem. Now for the shading. Since we know the background we're going for, it made sense to keep everything warm. You can kind of use the color wheel on the bottom left to see what we're doing, changing the blending modes and the opacity to fit what we need. Having an overall layer for just the tone of it, another one for just the shading, and another one for the parts that are lit up on the side of the character. It's almost like highlights. If you're familiar with any of my anime coloring videos, you know what I'm talking about already. So after that, we shade. Always an extra layer at the top of pretty much everything, even above the layers for the lines. Is a soft airbrush, but concentrated in one point to give like the white highlights in the eyes. Kind of brings the characters to life. Continuously adding some of those highlights that you see on the character. And you can see how that's implemented on all three characters here. The color flats can come after or before, that's up to you. I did it after, and I'm just slapping them behind. I was grabbing colors off of actual characters from the show with the eyedropper tool. I have seen that one black character in a lot of images, maybe on Twitter and everything like that, but the skin tone was a little bit too dark, so I decided to go a little lighter, but still close to it, because again, we're trying to fit this style. Got the exact same colors for the inside of the mouth, just using the eyedropper tool throughout, and then grabbing from Mikasa a little bit, but instead of a red scarf, we have a blue one, which is a nod to Sano's garment in the manga. And now we're just turning all those layers on. You have that layer that's pretty much a color dodge for the light going through the Titan, at least that little hole right there in the armpit area from the sun behind them. We reduce the opacity a little bit. We have those trees, the sky, everything's kind of coming together. Nice. And after this, we put the finishing touches to make it all look more anime. If you're enjoying this, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you stay notified each time I upload absolutely anything. Turn on all notifications. A lot of you guys are not subscribed. Please, let's change that. Or I'll kill them. I'm just kidding.
何をしてる?
Is this a clever way to show off Apple Black while also doing pseudo fan art to audiences that might be interested in it? Yes.
My god, bro. This picks up like crazy.
Yeah, man. White manga is the staple, man, for sure.
When I tell you, volume 4 is on every other volume, I couldn't believe it.
Toys, merch. We need to win in every way possible, so I hope you guys support, and thank you to those who already have. This is a nice Atsuko Sano eye shirt. It was one of my favorites. You can get some of the other really cool designs while they're still in stock. Not just to support, but because the merch is drippy and the books are good. Now we're back getting some of that Seinen energy going with the layer above, or you can do it on the layers that I have all the flats on as well. But I'm adding blood because why not? It's almost like they're popping out of the Titan's arm and he's lunging them into action as well. Maybe he's on their side. I mean, it makes sense for him to be on their side if Sano's arm is essentially the Titan, which I know, shaky. But if you got better ideas, leave them in the comments. But right here, I'm just doing all the fine touches, cleaning up that light hitting them on the sides. You can see it a little bit on Sano's arm and all the other appropriate places that you want them. That's very evident in the anime. I have blood kind of spinning, also selling that sense of motion. And then I'm gonna give them a blur, maybe a radial or motion blur, some kind of blur to give the blood that sense of movement. And after that, we save as a PSD, open up in Photoshop to do more anime final touches. And this is the usual where we duplicate all the layers, merge them. Before that, I'm doing a lot of the motion stuff to the blood. But once all that's done, I merge all the layers, at least duplicates of all the layers, put it above everything, put a Gaussian blur to like 30 of that layer, change the blending mode to lighten, and then reduce the opacity accordingly. The higher the opacity, the more it looks like a anime flashback. Then I also use an adjustment layer for a selective color, go to black and then reduce the black, and then increase the yellows a little bit, because I also noticed that the lines, while they start off black, in the final scenes, they don't look like a full-on shade of black, because they're a little bit yellowish, especially in scenes like this. A couple more adjustment layers until we get what we want. Photo filter, curves, and then voila. Leave in the comments what you guys would do with these characters if this was a new season. I can prank others and make it seem like these are extra characters just thrown in there. Why not? The final season, part 8. It's been the final season for like 4 years. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Check out the rest of the playlist where we show Sano and Opal visiting all other anime worlds. Leave in the comments which one you think they should visit next. It's Whyt Manga, and I'm Audi 9000.